exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. Yeah. Like as you said, when you did the first album with the band, there was a lot of criticism. I think that's a really, like, the internet can be gnarly from time to time. Just like with the new vocals that are now coming up in deathcore, that a lot of people say, it's just vocal acrobatics. It's just doing gnarly sounds and trying to create viral moments. And maybe sometimes this criticism is true. That sometimes maybe we are a little bit too much theatrical with some parts or something, or some breakdowns. I don't know, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. The comment section, I think we probably could talk about this for hours.
Hey, what's up, Vox&Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. I hope that you had an awesome week. I most certainly did. This Vox&Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter. And trust me when I say this, if you are ever in Montreal and you are looking for an amazing metal show to go to, well, Heavy Montreal will most definitely have you covered, because they put on a bunch of gigs all year long. So trust me when I say they will have you covered. They most certainly will. I am beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast. All you Vox&Hops heads should most definitely come out and see me, because I'm going out on tour. That's right. The Necromanteum Part II tour is coming up at the beginning of October, and it runs all the way until November. The Necromanteum Part II tour features Carnifex alongside us in Cryptopsy, Mental Cruelty, Organectomy, and Heavy Hitter. It's just going to be a blast. Grab your tickets, people. Head on over to my website, voxandhops.com/Carnifex to secure your tickets. Do it, people. It's going to be a blast. This tour runs from October 4th all the way until November 3rd. It's just going to be a blast. Come hang out. Grab your tickets. We're doing a bunch of Canada. We haven't done a long time. It's just going to be so much fun. The Necromanteum Part II tour is coming up, people. Let's do it. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love for you to tell a friend about the podcast. If there's someone in your life that just loves metal and craft beer, well, you should definitely let them know that the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast exists. You can tell them that there are over 460 episodes where I sit down with some of the world's best metal musicians and we talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you would encourage one of your metalhead beer-loving friends to become a brand new Vox&Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be with Lukas Nicolai of Mental Cruelty. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox&Hops episode number 469.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm very, very stoked to be with Lukas Nicolai of Mental Cruelty. I love doing this. I'm very lucky to have this podcast so that I can catch up with people that I'm going to hang out with for a month, because we are going on tour together. We've never met. We don't know each other. We have similar friends, but we've actually never had a conversation. So the power of the podcast and the internet allows me to do this with you. We're going to be hanging out for a full month with Carnifex, Organectomy, and Heavy Hitter out of Florida on the Necromanteum Tour Part II, all across the States, most of the States and a lot of Canada. It's going to be a blast, but today is our icebreaker conversation. So, Lukas, how you doing?
Hell yeah, it's an honor. What's up, man? It's I'm so stoked for Necromanteum Part II. It's the second time we're gonna hit the US this year. So I'm so
awesome.
Yeah, so excited to be back. And I think it's a great thing, because most of the time you do not really know the people you're touring with, because you're always just repost each other on Instagram, and everybody is sharing the tour banner and ticket links and stuff, and so you kind of see Carnifex and you guys and Organectomy and Heavy Hitter interacting with us, but I have no idea how any of these guys are, how they are like. So I think it's a really great thing that we have this opportunity to meet each other through this podcast before. So we see when we see each other in the US again, then we can say, we met before.
Exactly, and I'm baffled that it took me over 5 years to realize that I could do this. with the podcast. I was just scheduling too far in advance, and I just wasn't into rhythm of I was afraid is really what it was. I was afraid of not having an episode when I needed one, which is why I always stacked episodes. But now I'm relaxing a little bit more. The band is so busy that I'm allowing the podcast to just work organically. So I love doing this. I want to piggyback off of this 2 times in the States. What are you excited to get back to in the States? What did you not do last time, or what did you do last time that you want to do again, or what are you afraid that you did not do last time that you'd like to do this time?
That's a great question, because like the first US tour was the Beyond the Eternal tour, like the co-headliner tour we did with Of Sulfur, Ghost Bath, and Extermination Dismemberment. And for me, it was like the first time hitting the US and playing music there. And that one thing I'm really looking forward to like really experience again is because I think maybe in Germany or in Europe in general, everybody is kind of minding their own business. It's really unusual to like approach somebody with just a thing that you noticed or something. Like if I would be in the supermarket and somebody would wear something interesting, I would never approach them and say, "Hey, cool hoodie" or something like that. It's just not what we Europeans do. I don't know, or we Germans. But in the US, it was so pleasant that everybody kind of they recognized us as a band because it was 5 dudes, all of them wearing black, all of them sleep deprived, all of them just looking for some nutritions. And
Where's the toilet? Where
ex
is the
ex
toilet? That is the first
exactly.
question we walk into any place. How many toilets are there?
Exactly.
Do I need to
That's
find
true.
another toilet?
Yeah. Rather searching for some food or searching for the next opportunity for going to the restroom. That's exactly true. But then in the supermarket, so many people recognized us as a band, and especially as a metal band, like since we were all kind of wearing black, having black fingernails, whatever. And they were so excited to see us. They were like, "Ah, what are you guys doing? Are you guys a band? What genre do you play, or where you are heading to? What's the next city and stuff?" And then when we said we are from overseas and we are from Europe or we're from Germany, they were even more excited. And there were so many nice and friendly conversations just about us standing out a little bit as a group, and I'm really looking forward to this. I really loved all these little interactions. Those were great. Yeah, that was really fun. And
That's awesome. That tour crushed. I saw the posts and everything. That Of Sulfur Mental Cruelty tour far surpassed everyone's expectations. So that's a very cool first US tour for you there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, because yeah, it was we really had not much of an idea how the tour is going to perform, how many people are going to be at the concert, how the response is going to be, because for us, for Mental Cruelty, it was a really long time since we were in the US. Maybe we did not know, maybe people forgot about us. We
Yeah,
have
we
no
always have
idea.
that feeling, eh? It's like it's
Yeah,
over. It's done.
it's always a little bit anxiety, right? You never know. Maybe people suddenly started hating us. You know, the anxiety you always have as a musician if you have not been to a place for a long time. You think, yeah, I don't know why. That it's strange, but yeah, that there were the sales were good. There were so many people approaching us and so many nice conversations at the concert. And yeah, it was just a blast hanging around with the guys from Of Sulfur, Ghost Bath, and Extermination Dismemberment. It was just yeah, it was just a blast. It was great. It was so much fun.
And then those relationships that do form. We're having this icebreaker conversation right now. The
Yeah.
relationships that form on these tours are lifelong making relationships. When I bump into people that I've toured with 10, 15 years ago, and it's you jump right back into that friendship. I did it with Big D Derek, who was in Cattle Decapitation before. Now he's in Scour. I saw him in San Diego, and I hadn't seen him in 10 years. And right back to, being on tour together, that same vibe. And it's a special thing that we all have. So I'm happy that we're doing this right now. I was so excited to keep going that I forgot to do the classic Vox and Hops. It's Vox and Hops, where I hang out with my metal friends talking about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. What are you drinking on your side there, Lucas? Something
Yeah.
extremely hydrating.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I already outed myself in the beginning that I'm just drinking water, but I'm doing this for all the people maybe just listening to the podcast and not watching the video. I'm doing this out of a Guinness glass. So maybe I'm doing something wrong or very, very right here. I have no idea. Irish people
As a
might
vocalist,
probably.
as a vocalist,
Yeah.
your larynx appreciates the hydration. I appreciate a nice proper pint of Guinness. Whenever I play Ireland, I always have a few. It's an extremely beautiful experience. But it is true. Is it blasphemous to drink water out of a Guinness? I don't think so. I appreciate you making the effort and going the extra mile. I'm drinking something cool here. It's called the Haze Wars from Brasserie Sir John Brewing here in Quebec. They were a part of my Haze Wars. So I had a IPA competition about a month ago now that was sponsored by Yakima Chief Hops. Yakima Chief Hops are a hop producer out of Yakima Valley in the United States. They produce a lot of hops that get sold all across the world. And for the second year in a row, they've sponsored this event, the Vox&Hops Haze Wars, where I put 5 breweries head to head where they have to make their best IPA using the hops that Yakima Chief Hops and myself, shout out to Luc Beaulieu from Yakima Chief Hops. We decide what hops are going to be. This year, they had to use their NZ line hops, and it was Riawaka, Motueka, and Nelson Sauvin hops, which are all hops from New Zealand because those are the hippest, coolest hops right now. Sir John was last year's Haze Lord. They won last year's competition. This year, sadly, they did not, but they did win the best label, in my opinion, because it's totally Contra themed. Very, very cool. Max and Joel from Sir John always go above and beyond with their branding. And there was no exception here. So cheers to Sir John and cheers to Yakima Chief Hops. I'm going to crack this. And Lucas, I'd love to hear about your very first beer. Do you remember the first beer that you ever drank?
First of all, yeah, definitely congrats because the label is looking really, really nice. I think it reminds me on Star Wars kind of a little bit. Like
Oh, a little bit,
Haze
yeah.
Wars,
It's
Star Wars.
definitely it's 100% Contra because they told me that they were
Ah,
playing
okay.
Contra and they were like, "Oh, we should do like a Contra themed beer label."
Ah,
It's
that's
such a
sick.
creative thing when they do craft beer because they can't repeat themselves, so they always have to come up with some new label. It must be exhausting.
Ah,
It's like
okay.
us in merch designs. Just
Oh, yeah, that's true.
never ending. And like when I would love to just keep selling the same. Well, None So Vile sells forever, but
But before I'm gonna ask you answer your question, I think that's exactly true. With merch designs, you're always trying to come up with new things. I don't know, like a fashion label kind of. But there are
yeah,
so many things that are coming back into fashion right now. I have
it's
the feeling
crazy.
it's especially in the US, all these like gory MySpace splattery designs are coming back. Like
Okay.
this really colorful stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me, but if I always see like US bands like Signs of the Swarm or Cattle Decap that visited Europe, they had like these gory MySpace-ish designs back in their store, and I really dig that kind of because it was an old school vibe.
The
But
nostalgia. So I'm gonna hang on to all my
awesome.
merch designs long enough so that I can cycle them in 10, 15 years when they're trendy again. Okay,
Hell yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do.
that's a
Back
that's a
to your
great
first
idea.
beer.
I'm yeah, back to my first beer. I'm hoping I can grab some sick stuff from you guys at the tour.
Oh, hell yeah. I put my order in, there'll be some.
Awesome. Yeah, my first beer, it was kind of um sometimes when I was at my grandparents, I think my grandpa was every time in the evening, like for dinner, when there was I don't know, when it was just like eating bread and sausage and stuff, something more simple, he always would have like a beer, but in a really nice beer glass. And I think I remember I was kind of maybe 15 years old or something, because the legal drinking age in Germany is 16. So when I was 15, he probably thought, "Yeah, Lucas, you're gonna be 16 in a few months here. Try something." And I think that was my first beer. It was pretty young. My grandpa gave me just a sip from his glass and said, "Here, yeah, taste it. Just have a taste." I think that was my
It's
first
best
beer,
that it
probably.
comes from a family member in a controlled environment, and it's just a sip, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
What's interesting about it is it was probably a very good beer because Germany makes amazing beers, and the way that things are sort of trickling back into the craft side of things, is that there's local breweries that make beer for that region. So I'm sure your grandfather was drinking a beer that was brewed not very far away, hypothetically, because that's tends to be how it is in Germany, that each little section, each little village has their little brewery, and then that becomes your brand identity, that you go and you drink that beer. It's a part of your supporting your local economy.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Yeah, the Germans tend to do this a lot, that they try to buy local and stuff, and they are always taking a lot of pride in the little brewery that is maybe just next town. And yeah, if you ask a German, it's always the beer next door that's the best one, for sure. Yeah.
They are really good though, and they're clean because of the there's a word there, the law of purity, which I should definitely know because I have a craft beer podcast.
Oh yeah.
Everyone, that's all the brewers that are listening, I'm gonna Google it because that's annoying me now. Law of purity, Germany.
Yeah, that's the reputation that we have, like that the beer is quite good. Like, is there do you have a most favorite German beer that you enjoy when you are playing
that's a
music
hard
here?
question. The Reinheitsgebot.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Reinheitsgebot. That's the law of purity, and I'm massacring the pronunciation of that. Do I have a
You
favorite German beer? I do, but I don't think it's actually a good beer. Because a lot of the times, as you know, when we're playing shows, we just get stuff given to us.
Yeah, you just take what's in the fridge,
So
basically,
in
right?
Berlin, there's a little green label. I can't remember what it's called though now. I can see it, but I can't remember what it's called. But it's in the
Ah,
Berlin area. It has a
yeah,
green
yeah.
label and with like gold writing on it or red writing on it. I can't remember, but if I do remember, I'll get back to you while we're on tour. I'll be like, it's this one. But I know that they're not the best beers that we get given, sadly, when we are playing, because it's cheap to just give us the cheap stuff. That's what I would do.
I'm gonna get roasted so badly from the Germans probably listening to the podcast, because I probably know exactly which Berlin beer you are referring to, but it just does not
I don't know if
come
it
in
starts
my
with like a letter A. Well, it's coming
probably
to me.
maybe.
It'll come to me as we go through the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Same,
I
same.
love my first huge tour with Cryptopsy. Well, we did Mexico, and then after that, I went to Europe, and it was eye-opening beer wise. You could drink. Well, we like to drink volumes in Cryptops, especially back then in 2008, and
Now I'm even
you.
more excited to go on tour with you guys.
We
You
would
should
wake
party
up
hard.
and just be rosy and spring chickens, no hangovers because the beers are just so pure, so much fun. So as you grew up after the 15-year-old sip, what did you grow into as a drinker? What was your relationship with drinking? Did you go in through a party stage? Has beer become just an extra thing for you? There sort of is a craft beer scene growing in Germany now, but it's not quite like everywhere else in the world because of the law of purity. So did you fall into the entrapment of beer?
It's yeah, kind of, but it's funny, like being part of the not being part of the metal scene, like that's just for me like since a few years, but I always loved heavy music, and I always was going to concerts since I was 16 years old or even 15 years old. Like one of my first concerts was August Burns Red, A Day to Remember, opening for Bring Me the Horizon. Like I
That's
was
a
really
big show.
a little core kid I was, and I still have the ticket somewhere around here. It was just 26 bucks or something. That's when
Wow.
all these bands were not like as huge as they are today. And like I was 15 years old, I think, as well, and I just asked a dude, "Hey, can you get me in there?" Because then back in the day you had to be 16 just to go to the concert. But and yeah, and at these places you would probably just get a beer in a plastic cup and stuff. So always me going to concerts and festivals, I always just love the beer, watching a band, listening to some music. But the funny thing is that where I grew up, it was just a little village, and this area, this region is very famous for their wine. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
it's a wine region. Even my license plate says SUW, which says like Southwest Wine Region. So
Oh,
even
wow.
in the license plate, the name wine is kind of incorporated. So yeah, every time there was like a party going on from somebody who was celebrating their birthday, or there was, I don't know, a village fest or something, it was always just wine, because all the wineries and all the wine farmers would sponsor
Yeah,
these fests and festivals. So there was always just wine. So for me, it was like I was in between those both worlds. Like from my origin, it was just wine, and I have like a quite okay understanding of different wines, kind of weird. But when
so you're very
going to
cultured.
maybe I don't know, and yeah, going to
It doesn't
concerts.
fit though. I don't. Some people drink wine at metal shows. To
Oh
each
yeah,
their
true.
own. The beer seems to fit the vibe of a metal show much better than a glass of wine for some reason.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just thinking about it, having a glass of wine, like in this region, you have like wine glasses that are looking like this, a little bit bigger, not like so fancy with like this
The
thin
foot, yeah, yeah,
straw,
yeah.
the thin foot. It would just be like a big glass of white wine, and you would just put cider in it, and so it's
Ah,
just like
yes.
more, a little bit
Less
easier to
dangerous.
yeah, less dangerous, a little bit easier to drink.
Yeah, you could sip on it for a bit longer than that. That's another thing with a glass of wine. Like my wife can drink a glass of wine all night long, but if we share like a bottle, I'm always finished my half of
Oh
the
yeah.
bottle and into her half of the bottle before she's
Is
would do the same to me.
is she enjoying more the red or the white wine?
She is on a white wine kick for the past year or so. She's deep into the white wine. I like red better because it has more of a bite to it, but I drink
Yeah,
so much beer that I don't need any more liquids in my life.
that sounds good. Like a little bit of red wine, a good steak or something.
I'm too much of a vegan, maybe like some vegan
Ah, okay.
cheese, and I know it's horrible. I don't really talk. I don't talk about this too much myself on the podcast because everyone can do their own thing there. But I eat vegan cheese and drink a nice red wine from time to time. Um, how about
Of
discovering your
course.
voice? You mentioned that you got into metal later in life. Um, at what point did you start exploring extreme vocals? You got a guitar hanging behind you there. Were you a guitarist first? Was that the moment like where you're standing in a room with a bunch of people and it came time to start a band and no one else wanted to sing and you were the only one that could sort of do it and then you ended up singing? Is that the story?
Kind of like, yeah, I think I also started singing like heavy vocals at the age of kind of 16, 17, and but I
Going to those
also
shows,
exactly, like going to the show, screaming along with the lyrics, and just trying
blow
to
out your
not
voice.
ruin yeah, not ruin my voice. But I think I in parallel I also started playing guitar at the same time, but I was much too bad on the guitar, so I had to get to be like an okay vocalist. I had to do
To
something right.
compensate, to compensate.
Exactly.
Well, at least
Exactly.
he sings well.
Exactly. And
But
yeah,
you
I
were playing
just
in a
I
band. You were playing in a band, guitar and vocals.
oh yeah, oh no, I
This
was
is just for
just
yourself. Okay.
I that's something that puzzles me till this day. How can somebody play guitar and sing at the same time? I'm not multitasking ready to
Hmm.
do that stuff at all. I'm puzzled how that's even
Now we're
possible.
back to Ishan again. Before I pressed record, we were talking about Ishan. He's one of the
Oh yeah.
greats. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like Nowell is doing this as well. Like our rhythm guitarist
Hmm.
Nowell, he's sometimes playing guitar and singing at the same time, and I'm
Hmm.
I'm just puzzled how
Is
that's
he the one that
possible.
bangs out those massive cleans?
Yeah.
Super sick.
He sings the cleans in our new album, and
Very,
so many
very cool.
people, yeah, we always try to like show him also in the videos doing the cleans, but yeah, we still get asked from time to time. s- I, s- I still try to say no, that's not me for the cleans. Give
Hypothetically, it's
all the
because
give
when
all the credit to
you
Noel.
stepped him and these cleans appeared on the new album. So people associate you being the no vocalist.
Yeah, true,
Here's
that's
this
true,
new element, I would imagine. That's where it's coming
exactly, yeah,
from.
but
Being on the
but
press
how
side of things, press are lazy.
that's true, yeah. I never seen my name written right. It's a little bit confusing.
Really, it's some people. No one
Beca-
says my name right
Yeah, it's Lucas with a K, but Nicolai with a C, and everybody's just mixing it up. But
Yes, it's
it's
McGacky, people. Matt McGacky. It's a hard
yeah.
K sound, the CH. But
It's but
back
it's
to discovering your
fu-
voice and guitar.
funny that we suffer from the same thing. But yeah, how I started was I was just listening to like bands like Suicide Silence, Carnifex, Bring Me the Horizon, like all these bands, and I just tried to scream along, and I just had uh, like an iPhone and was recording the memo kind of, and was just
Wow.
screaming into the mic kind of the cell phone, and I thought, yeah man, this sounds sick, but probably the mic was just clipping.
It is
So
distorting. That's cool
yeah.
that you had the mindset even back then to record yourself and then you could hear back what you're doing so that you can work on what you're doing, which is something that a lot of people wouldn't do. They would just give it in the
Oh
room
yeah.
with the music coming from whatever and then don't not actually self-analyzing the sounds that are coming out of them.
Yeah, I think like as a vocalist, just like as a guitarist or a drum player or something, you always still develop your voice and you always
It's never
develop
ending.
new
Yeah,
techniques.
totally.
It's really never ending. So you have to develop a thick skin for yourself and as like in front of yourself and in front of other people, because I think it's always good you record yourself or you play with bands and record yourself with a band, like you record a song or something, and you always have to kind of endure people criticizing your vocals and saying, ah nah, this did not sound emotional enough, or this did not sound gritty enough, or black metal-ish enough, and you always kind of have to accept that and then try to incorporate this criticism and kind of grow, and then just try to, I don't know, change your voice or train your voice to be a little bit more diverse and stuff. So yeah, I think you always have to record yourself, work with the band, and be open for criticism, and then just to grow as a vocalist. I think that's so important.
It's
And
super mature.
don't you think that as vocalists, most of the time we have people say that we're a little bit of divas and we do not like our vocals to be criticized, right?
We tend to be the easiest criticized because we're tend to be really upfront in the mix. And we are the front person of the band, so it's easy to be picked on. And everybody thinks they can scream, and a lot of people can. But the human voice has been pushed extremely far within the past 5, 10 years, and your performance on the new material is no exception to that. Just all kinds of weird sounds coming at you.
Thank
But
you.
people definitely like to criticize us. And I got the brunt of that really bad when I joined the band back in 2007, 2008, when the album came out, The Unspoken King. And I had to learn to take the positive criticisms and filter through the negative criticisms to try to grow as an individual, first off, because I was much younger when I was in that album and period of my life. It was not an easy period to get through, the amount of hate that The Unspoken King received. But it took, you grow as a human and you evolve into something that you become better. You hope to evolve into something that is better, and I feel like I've done that, but you have to be open to criticisms and you have to be mature enough to take them with your emotions on hold, because it is very, very difficult to be told that you suck, because that's not a constructive criticism.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all. Like, yeah, but I really the internet is a tough place, but I really think, yeah, I really dig your vocals. Like, I think if there you definitely grew out of there into like a beast. So yeah, I
Why,
think
thank you.
that's
Why, thank you.
that.
It's
So
not, and it's tough to step in. I did it. You just did it. Stepping in to replace someone that is makes people so comfortable. As we mentioned, the singer is the first thing that some audience members latch
that's
onto, and
true.
it becomes their identity with that band is that person's voice and their persona. Lord Worm for myself, Mike DeSalvo, there's a bunch of eras of Cryptopsy that I had to prove myself through and make my own way. You had to do the same thing. What was that like mentally preparing yourself to become the vocalist of Mental Cruelty? Was that something you had to tackle? Was it something that you had to like craft out and find your own vocal identity in something that was already established?
Oh yeah, it was a lot at stake because we knew, okay, now we are with Century Media and
Huge. Because it was
we wanna
exactly at the same time. It was like they announced and then all the shit hit the fan and then
exactly.
they found you.
Exactly, yeah, and then we knew, okay, now we want to do something. We want to do something big. We want to do something bigger than a hill to die upon, but we still wanna stay true to Mental Cruelty. And I knew, okay, I want to bring something new, but also want to stay true to the origin of Mental Cruelty. And the guys wanted to do like a lot more thing. I think a lot more new things. I think the album is much more experimental. There are like folky parts, Viking metal-ish parts. There are much more black metal parts in there. So I had to also adapt to this
Mhm.
experimental approach. So I had to learn how to do gritty black metal vocals. Like now was showing me Emperor and Behemoth and Dimmu Borgir and stuff. And so I learned a lot of stuff. So I had to be very open to try new styles that maybe I'm not gonna nail for the first time, that I had to learn like while we were recording. But I also could
Oh, trying stuff out like right in the studio. That's it.
exactly, yeah.
That's scary.
It,
Yeah.
it was so funny. We were like recording, and and now was just, and we had multiple screens, and now was just doing Norway in the winter, like 10 hours mix, and then you just had like a camera flying through Norway while it was snowy, and then at the left screen he would like put a picture of Nergal or of Ishan from Emperor or something like looking black metal-ish and gnarly and stuff. So, and he says, okay, look at this screen. Here you see winter. This is how it must feel like. And here
Wow.
you see Dimmu Borgir. This is how your face should look like while you're doing this. And
Interesting.
then
So the feeling is and the in the delivery is a huge part
oh
of
yeah.
the vocals, more so than just what's actually sounding coming out of
Oh
you.
yeah.
There's the textured emotions that were very important to the process.
All the time before we record one sentence of an album or of a lyric, we before we say, okay, it's this emotion, and then comes the vocal style, or
Super cool.
you want it loud, or you want it a little bit more quiet, or you want it whispered. But first, it's the emotion all the
Mm,
time.
that's
And
awesome.
yeah, yeah, that's what I
And that
learned.
is that like notes that you get? I'm writing lyrics right now, so this is where I'm going.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
do you know these emotions well before you write the lyrics? Like, have they communicated to you in advance that this emotion is what we're pushing towards with this musical passage, and your lyrics can dance with that, or is it something that afterwards, after you've constructed lyrics, that you have to make it fit into this thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I kind of have to know this before. Like I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's
how
definitely
it is.
helpful, but from experience, sometimes things change and people, and then you're like, oh shit, okay, I wrote this whole thing, and I'm like, it doesn't really fit. And I got to change everything right now. And it's not the end of the world. As a mature musician, you go back to the drawing board. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
to save time, time is
Yeah,
important.
but it always feels like you grew something and then you have to kill it because then
Yes, yes.
you know.
But that's the maturity part of things that will it's okay to kill things because you can bring them back later
Yeah,
or
yeah,
change. That's why I try to just not become too attached to anything that I do before I step into the studio or into the booth with Chris, for sure.
yeah. But I don't know how it is with you, but for me it is always so good and luxurious and feels better if the song is completely done and if they say that's the song. Now the rest that is missing is just your vocals and the lyrics.
Exactly. That I
And then
tend to appreciate that process as well because there's only the second tome, the Book of Suffering, tome 2, that I wrote everything just to a guitar and a click track
oh,
because my
that's
son was about to be born and
okay.
I know my band. So so I went in and tracked vocals before the drums were done because I knew that they would be like, well, Matt, you got to come this weekend. And I'm like, I can't. My son's about to be born. So I planned it in advance. So tome 2, I wrote completely different and I never redone it that way since.
Oh yeah, that I'm sure that was a tough challenge, right? Just guitar and click track
I
and then writing lyrics.
I like counted out everything. And then he was like, you know that I could have like change the click so that every one it was a different sound. And I was like, you could have, you bastard. You know how long it took me to count all these parts out one by one?
Oh
But there
God.
was some frustrating things on Flo's side because he was like, oh, why'd you sing there? Because I was going to do this drum thing. And he had to alter himself to fit the song because I had taken up space.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
ideally,
it's
it's not the best process. Yeah.
always a little bit leveraging, right? But yeah, like talking about emotions, like for me, if I then can listen to the whole song and the guys have already kind of a storyline in mind and say
That's awesome.
it really sounds a little bit weird and a little bit I don't know, philosophical almost, but they always tell me, okay, Lucas, which colors do you see, which story comes in mind?
Synesthesia.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
like and for them sometimes it's just okay, we're thinking about a person that is coming to a castle and then there is something bad happening and stuff, and for them it's just like a basic storyline, and sometimes I write something completely different. But sometimes the drama that they are thinking of for some songs, or the emotions that I think that they are thinking of some songs and that we are talk about while listening just to the music, and yeah, we oftentimes we incorporate this in the finished lyrics. And it's sometimes maybe it's a little bit stupid because all of this takes up so much time to
It's
like
good. No,
be so
you're creating
specific.
a little being, a little piece of
Yeah,
art. It's important to take the time.
yeah, that yeah, for us it really was.
And
We took
every fight is worth it.
Yeah, that's true. Every fight is worth fighting, and I think most of the time, I don't know how is it in your band, like the same thing that if you criticize something, you better have at
Well, you got to
least
come with something else to replace it
exactly,
100%.
at
That's
least
from
have a
experience.
suggestion.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not that's shit. No. No, it has
yeah,
to that's relationships. Bands are I said this and I just edited today before sitting down here my chat with Heavy Hitter, and we had the same conversation that bands are relationships, and you gotta work through and be positive and find a way to work together as cohesive humans. So to just come in and say that's shit with nothing in exchange, it's like
yeah.
that internet you suck criticism.
Exactly. Yeah.
Back to that again.
100% agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Like as you said when you did the first album with the band, there was a lot of criticism. I think that's really like the internet can be gnarly from time to time. Just like with the new vocals that are now coming up in deathcore, that a lot of people say, oh, it's just vocal acrobatics. It's just doing gnarly sounds and trying to create viral moments. And maybe sometimes this criticism is true, that sometimes maybe we are a little bit too much theatrical with some parts or something, or some breakdowns, I don't know. But yeah, it's just I don't know, the comment section. I think we probably could talk about this for hours. And
I'm
yeah,
writing
what
whole albums about this. The
oh yeah,
internet. Don't get me started. We'll do more of that on tour.
oh
Which
yeah.
we are doing a tour, the Necromanteum Part II tour. Talk to me about realizing that you're going out on tour with Carnifex, one of the bands that you used to sing along to into your voice memo. Here you are now going to share the stage with them for 26, 27 shows, I think it is. Do you remember this moment, seeing the offers come through and the guys coming and the band telling you we're going to do this, or you deciding with them, however the process is? And the excitement, were you excited? What's your whole mindset about this tour coming up and how that went down?
It's crazy. It's like it's just feels so unreal when we knew, okay, we have the opportunity to tour with Carnifex. For me it was like that, yeah, my 16-year-old self was just feeling so proud, probably because yeah, I was just singing along to Carnifex lyrics. Like Lie to My Face was one of the first songs that I was recovering shitty into my like cell phone mic, like one of the first songs, and now I I'm like touring with those guys, and I'm just thinking, wow, how the who would have thought how the tables have turned,
It's the best.
and yeah, yeah, it's just a bet, and like I have the opportunity to last weekend we were on a festival with where Emure was headlining, and I saw the guys from Emure, like Frankie was there, and I thought, wow, this dude I saw on the Never Say Die tour in Europe, or now we gonna hit the US and gonna play with you guys and with Carnifex, and I'm gonna meet those guys, and I'm thinking, okay, wow, you're gonna meet some legends that back in the day you were admiring, and that kind of brought you into the music, and kind of without these guys I probably would not like be a metal vocalist. I don't know.
Super cool.
It's just yeah, it's just insane. I don't know. I'm feeling just thankful, and I'm feeling just so happy that I have the opportunity to do this, and I'm just stoked. And I just hope those guys are not assholes.
I highly doubt it. Everyone has told me that they're great. I'm actually sitting down here with Scott tonight to do this exact same thing. So I'm excited for that
awesome.
in the next few hours. Give everyone listening your little pitch. I've been doing my ads for it, and there was probably one that cut up this episode, so I apologize that you guys are going to get bombarded with this twice.
Awesome.
You do your little...
Before you say this, I just wanted to say I'm just making fun, because so all of the time people say never meet your idols, because
I understand what you're saying.
if the people are not how you would expect them, then you are a little bit bummed. But I'm so sure everybody is going to be very, very nice, and I'm so stoked. Yeah.
Give everyone a little pitch, a little sales pitch to encourage them to go pick up their tickets if they haven't. Lukas, for this Necromanteum Tour Part 2, shoot it to the people listening.
Excuse me?
I want you to give that like a little like, hey, you should buy your ticket pitch to everyone.
Oh yeah, like guys, it's the second time for us hitting the US, so let's meet again. Like Cryptopsy, Carnifex, Heavy Hitter, Organectomy. That's such a stacked lineup. Get your tickets right now. Don't miss out on this. And yeah, let's see each other again. Let's shake hands and let's enjoy a beer together.
Hell yes. I have one last question for you, Lukas, which you just mentioned the perfect thing there. Hypothetically, you and I and the rest of the guys will enjoy far too many beers together on hopefully more than one occasion, which will lead us all to have hangovers. So this is the classic Vox and Hops wrap-up question. What is your hangover cure?
Oh, my hangover cure is always just eating something really fatty, kind of.
The States are good for that.
Hell yeah. Like just a lot of water, eating something fatty, sleep. Just most of the time I'm waking up too early, and then that makes the hangover feel even more worse than it.
True. That gets worse with age. Yeah.
It probably is. So I'm just trying to catch up on sleep. And yeah, that's probably the best I can do. And yeah, otherwise, just yeah, I don't know, breathe through it.
Suffer. Lukas, thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking about life, talking about music, talking about the Necromanteum tour that's coming up. Grab your tickets, people. We're gonna have a blast. Lukas has been great. I'm looking forward to hanging out a lot more in the near future.
Cheers, man. I'm so stoked.
Massive cheers.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right today. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this was an awesome conversation, and just the best way to break the ice with someone that you just meet. So stoked to hang out with Lukas and the rest of the Mental Cruelty guys for a whole month on the Necromanteum Part II tour. That's coming up in 2 weeks, people. Grab your tickets. You can go to voxandhops.com/Carnifex. Grab those tickets. Come hang out with me and Lukas. It's just going to be a blast. Massive cheers to Lukas for hanging out with me. I can't wait to hang out soon. Check out Mental Cruelty if you haven't already. They are freaking incredible. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I will be back next week with another episode on Thursday. But until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beers. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.